We're going to go over 5 key principles that will help you improve your first touch and take your first touch improvements into a game. So the first principle is body position. Your body needs to be in the best position possible for you to actually take a pass and then do what you want with it. If your body's in a suboptimal position, like you're looking down and you're very negative, you're not going to take a touch and move the way you want to move. Your body needs to be in a better position, which means bent knees, you're on your toes, and you're able to quickly move. If you're on your heels like this, it's very hard to quickly move because your heels can get stuck. You're not going to be ready. So if you look at even sports like boxing, they're never on their heels, they're always on their toes, and that means that they can move the way they want. They can be ready, they can go on throw a punch, they can move out the way, they can do what they want to do. Even in things like taekwondo, ready, you can switch quickly. In football, you're not going to be bouncing up and down like this, and it's a common thing I have to explain when I coach younger players. When I mean bouncing out on your toes, I don't mean you're coming up and down like this. What it means is that you're on your toes, and that means when the pass is coming, you can quickly take a couple steps back, you can quickly move to the side, you can quickly move so that you can move into the space where the pass is going to be played. And now this is important, especially when you're playing all types of levels, because the pass isn't always going to be directly into your feet. Sometimes it might be a couple yards to either side, so you have to be ready to quickly move and then take that pass and then go into the space you want to go into. And after that, once you're actually in a good position and the ball can be played into you and you can meet the ball, what you have to do next is actually control it. And now the first key thing about your foot when you're controlling the ball is that your ankle must be locked. If your ankle isn't locked and you get a strong pass paid into you, your foot's not going to respond well and it might move a different way than you're expecting and actually lead to a bad touch. Now, when your ankle's locked, that doesn't happen. You have almost 100% control of what your touch is going to be like, assuming all the other principles are met, if your ankle's locked. And this works no matter what the technique is. If you're inside of the foot, outside of the foot, sole of the foot, laces. If your ankle's locked, your touch is going to be better pretty much every single time unless you're getting a really soft pass. Take a look at these following touches. All my touches are getting away from me and I'm not able to control the ball effectively because I'm very flat footed. And when I get to the ball, my touch is lazy and it's not very good. But as soon as I start incorporating even a little bit of a bounce, my touches become a lot tighter and a lot better. And these skills can be used into a game to actually have a good touch. And so incorporate little bounces in between your passes and against the wall or against a partner, and then use those bounces to then actually make a touch better and more applicable to a game. So now we know how to receive the ball. How do we practice receiving the ball? Well, there are a couple key drills that we can do, which are very basic and you can do by yourself. All you need is a ball. Sometimes you see the space. You can also make it better with the wall. But the first one is just getting the ball and doing kick-ups or juggling, whatever you call it. And this really helps you focus on having a locked ankle. Right now my ankle is locked, but look what happens once it starts becoming flimsy. It's harder to control because instead of your foot supporting the ball like that, it can start going down and the touch just rolls down off your foot. So that really helps you focus on having a locked ankle. And then once you're comfortable with that, the touch will just naturally get better because you're working on a different spin. And so the problem or limitation with just doing juggling is that you're always working with a very predictable type of spin. Once you get good or once you get to a decent level where you can do maybe 50 to 100 in a row, the spin almost always is going to be coming back to you like that top spin or whatever it's called, coming back to you like that. And that is very good and it's a good skill to have. But if you want to get better, you have to be able to work with different types of spins. So to incorporate different types of spins, this is where a wall or a partner come into play. So then get that wall or partner and kick it different ways, whether you are putting a bit of finesse on it, curling the ball, curving the ball, whether you're making it very straight and very hard. What you're trying to do is work with different speeds, heights, and spins of the ball. Because in a game, those are types of things that are going to change. The ball's always going to stay the same, but the way the ball moves is going to be different. So the ball can move at a different height, it's going to be very high. Then you have to rely on your chest or your thighs or even your shoulders, maybe whatever. It could also be spinning a different way, so you have to add a different weight from your foot. And working with different spins then actually allows you to be better at controlling the ball. You're not always going to get the ball like this, which is very easy to do once you are decent at it. This is always going to be the most unpredictable and most consistent with how you're actually going to get the ball in a game. And the most famous and relevant example of this is Dennis Bergkamp. Literally 99% of players probably would have trouble dealing with the ball coming in at that spin and that position, but he worked with so many different types of spins, heights and speeds of the ball that he knew exactly what he wanted to do. The ball came in, he span it with the outside of his foot, came in and met the ball and then scored a very good goal. And that shows that once you work with different types of spins, you might not be able to be like Dennis Bergkamp, but you will be a lot better than a lot of other players who simply rely on just a couple drills. And so the next principle is in taking all the knowledge of how we want to receive the ball, the different spins that we can use to receive the ball, different speeds, whatever, and applying it to your position. How much space do you have on the pitch to work with? If you're a centre back, you have a larger orbit of space, if you want to call it, to work with. So, for example, Van Dijk can, on average, probably take bigger touches than someone like Mo Salah can, midfielders like Kevin De Bruyne can, Iniesta could, or Xavi could. They have a lot more space to work with if you're a centre back. So if you actually are a centre back, don't restrict yourself to only working with tight touches. Actually practice taking slightly bigger touches because that is relevant to your position. And if you look at the stats around how much time centre backs spend on the ball, it's important that you actually work with the types of touches you're going to need in the game. You're not going to be receiving the ball and having to turn tightly and all that type of stuff. You're going to receive the ball, you have to take a big touch and then move into the space. Be able to move quickly and be able to make smart decisions on where to take your big touches. So for a centre back, incorporate those different types of principles that we just went over, but spin, locked ankle, speed, and take that into bigger touches that are more relevant into space. Still, of course, work on being able to take tight touches when you need to, but of course, if you're a centre back, take bigger touches. In this clip here, Jorginho has a lot of space, so he takes big touches because he knows that tight touches won't do him any good. And so he only takes tight touches when he gets closer to players. Again, big touches before he plays a pass, and Jurrien Timber also has space, so then he himself also takes bigger touches. But in this clip, Martin Odegaard has very tight space, so he takes a smaller touch. So look at your position, look at the best players in your position, and then work on the types of touches that they take most on average. And so that leads us to the last principle, which isn't really a principle, but it's rather a piece of advice I wish I could give to my younger self if I could go back in time. And that is, confidence is one of the most important things in football and your first touch. And how you build confidence is by practicing again and again and again and again. If you look at all the best players in the world, Messi, Ronaldo, Neymar, Gareth Bale, Eden Hazard, of the last 10 years, and even now players like Mbappe, Haaland, whatever, they make things look so easy and they have so much confidence, but that confidence came from lots of hours of work, lots of repetitions of doing the basic stuff. And if you don't do this type of stuff again and again and again, no matter how many videos you watch, how many games you watch, your touch just isn't going to get better. So work on building confidence by going through and doing these drills again and again and again and looking at how you can improve. If you're very good with juggling, like I got when I was like 13, 14, I just focused on doing that again and again because it made me feel good. But I didn't rely enough on working on different types of spins, and that went and affected me when I started playing in midfield. My juggling got me good at being able to control maybe 70% of passes, but this would have got my 70% to like a 90%, which would have made a massive impact in how I played and what my playing career went on to be. So now all there is left to do is to just keep practicing and take the principles that we went over and go and turn it into a little training session for you to challenge yourself. Use your left foot, your right foot, and really challenge yourself to see where your first touch is at. Always remembering to have fun, but also learn and see where you have to improve. And at the end of it, just go back to the wall if you need to, work with different spins, and then take your improvements into a game.